Welcome back to Moving with Meaning. I'm your host, KrystalBClark, and we are jumping right out of renewal and straight into diversity and inclusion. So, yes, fabulous February. We are going to be talking this entire month about diversity and inclusion, but how those terms fit, what they mean, and how you can basically create that environment and culture in your workplace or a part of your brand or what have you. We'll talk about some different strategies and the benefits on inclusion and diversity because they make higher performing teams, they increase job satisfaction and overall success and innovation and creativity. So it's not enough to just be in a state of autonomy where you don't have like a micromanaging boss on top of you, but you also got to create that environment where they feel safe, inclusive, and that they belong. Okay, so that takes us into what today's episode is going to be entitled, which is Everyone Belongs. Because we do. Sometimes we can feel like we are living in a world that we don't fit in. Okay, and that just determines on whether you have different disabilities, whether the different experiences that you've had, the different triggers, and all the different things that kind of life throws at us, and we kind of feel like we don't no longer belong, I guess, right? And that's not true. That is not the case. We are making strides as it comes to creating available areas for folks who are disabled, right? So such as the equipment and, creating space for them, like in movie theaters, things like that. I know that may probably seem as something really small, but it goes a long way for folks who need that accessibility, right? So we even do that in the workplaces because they have a place there too. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we create that environment for folks. And let's just, I guess, dig right on into it. What do you say? So we're going to start with a summary of what this episode is all about. So quickly, it's talking about embracing inclusive policies, right? Developing a welcoming workplace. Companies that embrace inclusive policies foster a culture where all employees, regardless of their backgrounds, identities, or perspectives, feel welcomed and valued. These cultural shifts often translate into higher job satisfaction and a deeper personal investment from employees, driving better collaboration and innovation. By prioritizing inclusion, organizations demonstrate that everyone's contributions and unique viewpoints matter, creating a vibrant, dynamic, and productive work environment. How about that? Oh my gosh. I mean, to be honest with you, just on that summary, if I ain't in an environment and don't have one at my company, I'm certainly finna jump on it. All right. But you know what? I think it's just really important, right? Because the inclusion really does impact your mental health at work. We want to be safe at home for sure, but we also want to feel that same, safety, if you will, at the place of employment, wherever we're working, whether it's out in the field, where it's at home, in your office or bedroom, or in the office somewhere. It doesn't matter. Wherever you are contributing your value, your skill set, your mind, your knowledge, you want to make sure that your interests are basically being addressed and considered. Okay, so as we always do here, we talk about benefits, and you know what? It's just the magic number of 3. So we'll give 3 quick benefits of diversity and inclusion on job satisfaction and personal investment. Again, these are just quick benefits that I came up with. There's certainly more, and this is not limiting to those. Okay. Number 1, enhanced sense of belonging. When team members see that diverse perspectives are welcome, they feel more comfortable sharing ideas and taking initiative. This sense of belonging promotes higher job satisfaction and a stronger commitment to their work. Amen. You know what? And I think this is actually very true. People don't normally just speak up in meetings unless they feel that their perspective is going to be welcomed. If you're constantly being dinged, or every time you you bring up something, you're kind of always shut down and kind of say, okay, yeah, next, right? You want to make sure that everyone's perspective is definitely welcomed and addressed. And even if it's an opportunity where someone missed a gap and you feel like you're even repeating yourself, because I feel like this a lot when I'm at work, it's okay for the reminder. It's okay for other people who have missed it. So it's just another step of kind of solidifying whatever that question is and making sure that they're heard, right? Because this is probably the first time that they actually feel like they can be engaged into the conversation. And so we take those opportunities and we want to make sure that everyone sees that we are patient, right? And that it is also an area of safety, right? Because you want to make sure that you stay engaged and you feel that your commitment to that engagement means something, right? And builds that bond to your work when you feel like you and your thoughts and your perspective is being considered and valued. Number two, higher employee engagement. So I don't know, isn't that perfect? I just like segue right into that. Anyhow, inclusive teams allow individuals to express their authentic selves, leading to increased motivation, creativity, and problem solving. Engaged employees are more likely to devote extra effort to projects and responsibilities. Now, listen, yes, is that true? Yes, it is. But it does not mean you should abuse that. Okay? So, yes, for sure. Me being an inclusive manager, taking notes of just different things that are important to that individual's life, right? So it could be cultural, it could be something related to their heritage, it could be something related to just their family life, anything. You listen to these people, they're talking, right? You need to be able to listen and catch on to things that they are sharing with you because they're sharing a piece of themselves, whether they know it or not, okay, or they're willing or not, they are sharing something with you. And so when you are doing that, people feel appreciated, and when people feel appreciated, they're likely to really, I'm not gonna lie to you, increase and bump up that extra effort that it takes to do different projects or add another level of quality to the work that they're delivering. They should be doing it anyway, but it does make a difference when you're being valued just as a person. Not saying that you're valued just for the work that you do and how well you can do the work, and that you're just this great employee and all these other good things, right? This is deeper than that. It hits a level under the surface, okay, where it's felt deep down, right? You're getting a little bit closer to them on a personal level because it's about what makes them feel important, okay? So, number three, last benefit that I have here for us today is stronger collaboration and innovation. Oh man, listen, I love creativity. I love new ideas, and I love collaborating with folks who have them and contributing to those. All right, so diverse backgrounds and experiences fuel fresh ideas as employees realize their input is not only encouraged but celebrated. They become personally invested in driving better outcomes and advancing collective goals. Hello, hello. I mean, to be honest with you, that's true. Okay, like you know it for yourself. Like if you know that if I share like that I like ideas to be shared with me to come up with things like that, like that gets you going and gets your mojo moving and all that kind of stuff. That applies to other people as well. Okay, so it's one of those things to kind of recognize that in yourself and to give back. Take stock that you like that, give that back to other people. All right, it's really important is to recognize that within yourself and to also know that you're no different than anybody else. I think that's the biggest thing for me with inclusion, diversity, and belonging is that people always feel like their thoughts and their feelings are literally isolated to just them. It's just me that feels this way, and it's not. A lot of people do feel that way. They're either better at masking it or they're kind of just drowning in it, kind of the same way that you are. You're just trying to navigate your way around just this muddled water, and you don't have to. Okay, it's truly it's about celebrating being innovative. It's about celebrating and getting those creative juices going, right? Because it's a collective. Now here's the thing where people, I think there is a little bit of a drawback on that one, okay? Because this has been experienced where people think about, oh, if I say something and I offer my ideas, people are just gonna take it and run with it and pitch it off to their own. Because this has happened to me. It's happened to a couple of other uh, coworkers and mentees that I've had and coached. And at the end of the day, right, they can steal something, even if they steal the PowerPoint that you put together. They cannot present it. They cannot. Okay, so one example here, I had a boss that was like telling me, hey, I need you to put together something. Like he was telling me, I need you to put together a presentation so that I can deliver it to whoever the leadership is, but he didn't know the concepts of it. So he just was like, if you could put the presentation together with me of all the things or whatever, I'll do good. I'll do well with it. Okay, I did it. I was like, all right. Because in my head, I'm like, it doesn't matter who's putting this stuff together. If you can't speak to it, it doesn't mean anything. So I did. I put the effort in there because I looked at it as, well, this is an opportunity to kind of be refreshed on some of these benefits and things like that, those points of view anyway. So I took the time and I did it. I had the time, so it was okay. The next thing happened is he went and presented it, or I think he reviewed it. It's one of the two. And he came back and was like, hey, can you run over this with me? Because I don't know I don't know any of these terms. And I was like in there explaining it to him, and he still couldn't get it because he just did not have the concept. So it was like, either you're going to let me deliver it or you're going to struggle through it, because you're not going to gather this amount of knowledge that I've had and built over these amount of years and get it to you in 5 minutes. If it was that simple, then I mean, certainly anybody could have been doing this, right? And furthermore, why you don't have it? So I don't look at things that way. Some people do because they've been offended in that way. So they've kind of gotten to this level where they're like, look, I'm not sharing none of my ideas or nothing because somebody's going to take it. But here's the thing. You have to do that to get somewhere, okay? You may need to figure out the best way to do that and the audience to deliver it and all that kind of stuff, and create a space for you to kind of present it in that way, or find another job, okay? Like I said, if that is not the place that is valuing you and is constantly stealing your ideas, then you go somewhere else, okay? Start building up your resume, start looking, okay? You know what? This is your spot, okay? And you are in control of your future. You're only at that job as long as you want to be and as long as you want to deal with that, okay? Otherwise, we can start working on some resumes, training for some interviews, and discussing new ways of upskilling to help you be more attractive to these other new opportunities. That's what you can do. Work with me. All right, now I do want to go over a few examples of how inclusion helps people feel valued. Okay, again, 3, and these are just a few examples. Okay, you can come up with some other ones, but these are some that I've done in my own day in the life, workplace environment all the time. So number 1, recognizing cultural holidays and traditions, acknowledging and celebrating diverse observances. For example, religious festivals, cultural heritage days, helps employees feel their personal identities are respected and appreciated. I think that is so cool. So what's really common with me is I work with a lot of East Indian, right, or Asian Indian, I think that's what it's called. But Diwali is a big event, and they always take off. And so here in the US, we don't actually have that as a cultural day off, but they will take it off. They'll take PTO for it though, because it's recognized for them and it's important to them. So they're like, look, it's worth the PTO. Okay. So there are certain things, and I always tell people, like, when that stuff is coming up, I think I even logged it in my phone as a calendar to make sure that whoever I'm working with, because 9 times out of 10 I always say happy Diwali to them. So it's like, when you take time to just acknowledge a festival or something that is meaningful to someone else's background and important to them and their identity, it doesn't have to be recognized on the federal calendar or your holiday calendar at work, okay? You can still recognize it, right? Don't wait for society and the world to catch up to you. You be the lead, okay? And the more people that are leading that pathway, then change will come. Okay, don't wait for that to happen. And you don't need to. I think for sure the job that I'm at is actually pretty awesome. They recognize Juneteenth as a holiday, as well as Martin Luther King. So listen, every time, things like this start to get pulled in and people start to get respected a little more, and then you start to make the demands, things will change, okay? But it begins with you, okay? Each and every one of you. Number 2 example is inclusive communication practices, encouraging staff to share their perspectives in meetings and using inclusive language. Avoiding jargon or exclusionary terms demonstrates that every voice counts. I think this is actually really important. I have to work on this, not from the inclusion piece. I welcome all kinds of perspectives in meetings. In fact, when I have meetings, I feel like I get a lot of feedback. I feel like I get a lot of engagement, and it's just because I create a warm environment, and I'm very, I don't know, low key. I'm very cool. I'm not super duper. I don't know. Like, I'm not super duper professional corporate, but I'm also not too laid back. But I throw a little bit of pizzazz in there every now and then, so it's pretty unique. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it feels like it's you and I in a conversation. So I really want to make sure that that environment's safe, because I need the questions, right? Because that lets me know that they're engaged. It lets me know that they're listening, and they've listened to what I've said, and they've like processed it to the point where they're asking questions and want to know more. So for sure that. But I mean, in the respect of avoiding exclusionary terms. And so here's what I mean, okay? And I'm not talking about like, okay, guys, because people use guys all the time, but it's like, okay, only the guys, y'all come over here, right? And it's like excluding women or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I mean, using, when I say jargon, like I'll use abbreviations that are known to people in my practice and in my industry and in my particular technology discipline. I might say, oh yeah, the DW, or like I'll use acronyms, like real acronyms, and they're like, wait, what? Wait, hold on, what does that mean? I do it written, and I do it verbally. So, and what's good though, right, is that I create that environment for people to stop and say, wait a minute, what does that mean? Because some people create an environment where they're talking like that people just go like, okay, and they don't even ask, they just let it go on by the wayside. I do not, and I really make sure that I tell everyone at the beginning is like, you need to ask me. Like, do not ask me, that double negative. The third one, mentorship and representation. So providing mentorship programs and ensuring leadership roles are represented by diverse individuals allows employees to see a clear path for their own growth, knowing their potential is recognized. Isn't that something? So yeah, so like I said, it's about representation and it's about presentation. Representation is definitely seeing folks that look like you in roles of management. It brings such a level of opportunity, a level of fulfillment. Like, it makes your dreams possible when you see that. So for some people, they need that. For me, if I don't see anybody there, I'm like, okay, good, I'm gonna get that spot, right? It makes me more energized, but both ways is good, right? We accept all different variants, but you do want to make sure that if you're saying that you're inclusive and diversity and you have these programs and that's whatever it is, and you don't have diversity in your leadership, whether it's male or female, like, interabled, whatever, then it's not true. It has to show up in your leadership. It has to. All right. So hopefully those examples resonate with a few of you. So let's quickly go over these objections, because obviously these objections are there, right? Otherwise we wouldn't be talking about this. So number 1 is the fear of conflict or miscommunication. So some people, they will worry that cultural differences will lead to misunderstandings, tension, or difficulty collaborating effectively. And that's going to happen whether you're with people who look like you and come from the same background. That happens anyway, okay? Don't make the fact that, oh, this will come up and introduce more conflict if we invite new cultures or ethnicities into the mix. No, that's not true, okay? You're going to deal with miscommunication and conflict either way. So we might as well do it together. How about that? Number 2, resistance to change. This is a big one here. So people who are accustomed to a homogeneous team environment may feel uneasy about the shifts in company culture and everyday practices that inclusion can bring. Yeah, this is true. So I was at actually one company, not the one I'm at now, I'm sure to put that out there, but I was at one company where the CEO implemented a where he was basically saying, okay, I'm going to now make Martin Luther King Day a holiday at the company. And then what happened is we did it, we took off, and he met with the company again and was like basically saying that overall it went very well, but he did have some feedback where people like sent in like really discriminatory comments and was angry about taking a day off in observance of someone that they didn't believe in. But it's like, okay, now you know how everyone else feels. You know what I mean? But everyone takes off that day anyway. Now, whether you take it off and don't celebrate it, or whether you don't believe in it, you still sit at the laptop and come to work and try to do whatever you want to do. That's whatever you want to do. That's up to you. But the recognition is certainly something to be proud of, and to make sure that we understand that there is going to be resistance to change. There's always resistance to change, but change must still happen. All right, number 3, unconscious bias. Hidden prejudices or preconceived notions can create discomfort or skepticism about the value of a more culturally diverse workplace. Absolutely, right? Sometimes, we always have gone around saying, I'm cool with everybody. Like, I don't mind X, Y, Z, all this other kind of stuff. And then next thing you know, when you actually are brought up face to face to where that you got to stand on that, you know what I mean? It's like you kind of like, uh-oh, wait a minute. I ain't mean it like that. Right? So yeah, we do have unconscious bias, and that's just, everyone has that, okay? And a lot of times the only time we do get to recognize that and put in any kind of practices or activities or make steps and moves to remediate that for ourselves is we have to be brought face to face with it. Okay? So it's going to happen anyway, and that's, again, it's part of continuous improvement and continuous growth, continuous learning. Now that we talked about the benefits, the examples, and the objections to this, let's talk about 3 strategies that you can overcome those objections with and create a more inclusive work model. All right. Number 1, ongoing education and training. So we're talking about offering workshops or seminars on cultural competence, unconscious bias, and effective communication to equip employees and leaders with the tools to navigate diversity respectfully. Yes, and your training development team should have a budget set aside. I've said this before, where there are plenty of professional speakers. There's plenty of team building individuals who provide a whole program and course set aside specifically for these things. Okay, so take a look. It's just, if you haven't seen it, you just didn't know that it was out there, but they're there. So take a look. Second strategy, number 2, open dialogue platforms. Create safe spaces, like town halls or small group discussions where employees can share their experiences, concerns, and ideas for improving inclusivity without fear of judgment. You know what? I think town halls are a little too big. I'm not going to lie to you, because when I get intimidated by town halls, and I just really view them as a way to update us on what's going on with the company and projects and stuff like that. So I think small group discussions, maybe small by the fire, I forget what they call them, like coffee chats or something like that, where it's about 15 minutes throughout the day, or you give them 30 minutes or something like that. And then you just kind of share a little bit about that. I know that works really well in small groups. That really does work. I've even done it when I'm launching new programs at a company. I just delegate small groups because it's intimidating. It really is. It can be. So number 3 in that strategy is inclusive hiring and advancement practices. Develop recruitment, promotion, and mentorship programs aimed at attracting and retaining talent from various backgrounds, ensuring leadership opportunities are accessible to everyone. Hello. So yeah, that's just going to take some time as far as getting into the hiring practices. And it's only going to take time because you're actually paying attention and you're concerned about your reputation and how you're going to look and all this other kind of stuff. If you want to be a leader in the company, folks, here, then you start it. You start the trend, and you make it a point to always comment about how beneficial and how much value your company has seen and the growth it has seen since you've done and implemented these inclusive hiring practices and the value that you've gotten from that. Okay, so make sure that you not only use that advertisement from hiring, but also come back and revisit it, restate it, emphasize it. You already know how it is. Y'all have a marketing department. You know what to do. All right. I'll tell you what I enjoyed today. And I think inclusion and diversity is very important. Belonging is important, and opinion value is important. I guess you know what that's all about. February, isn't it? Between that and Black History Month, I mean, hey, what can you go wrong? So I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna leave you off with this motivational, lasting message. Inclusion isn't just a buzzword. It's a powerful force that brings out the best in people. By weaving diversity and acceptance into the fabric of your team, you send a clear message. Everyone's voice matters, and every person's unique perspective is a cherished asset. When employees feel valued, they reciprocate with loyalty, creativity, and unmatched dedication. Proof that every effort to be inclusive never goes unnoticed. All right. Well, I loved this session today. I hope you did too. And I hope it influenced and inspired you to look at and revisit not only yourself and how you feel valued, but also ways that you can make your voice heard. But for those who are in different companies, how you can influence and impact your organization personally and invite some of those different practices to inspire and improve the spread of inclusion and diversity. Because we all belong. Like it or not, we do. So sorry. I'm sorry that that's just a new concept to you today, but it is. All right. So, as always, you know what it is. You want a double dose of me. Hit up the Moving with Meaning, the podcast, and sit with me and chat while I chat about some of the different things that other career change makers do, as well as some of the way that we overcome adversity. All right, you know exactly where to hit me up at: Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. I'm there. Look me up. Also, you want to get in contact with me or join my Moving with Meaning network, subscribe to that newsletter, get some of the goodies and all those good things. See my little graphic here? Yeah, those are all the different ways you can get in contact with me, view any of my products. I have some courses getting ready to be launched. I have a new book released. Hey, it's right there. Embrace the Code. Check it out. It's on all the different platforms, specifically and most notably Amazon and Ingram Spark, but it's everywhere. All right. So that breaks down a lot of the things that we were talking about here as well, but it really takes over just this 8-year stint that I have of incredible growth. Okay, I found it so profound that I was able to apply those same professional practices that helped skyrocket my career to my personal life as guiding principles and help improve myself there socially. All right, so I hope to hear from you, and I hope to see you in the future, hopefully at any other speaking engagements or maybe at one of them courses. Okay, but as always, I adore you, and in the meantime, until I see you again, just keep moving